Whole thing. You have conversations every day.
Yeah.
Cameron Brown, what's up?
What's up, my man?
You're finally here.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
I'm stoked, dude. Thank you so much for coming. You're one of the big ones because you're out there doing stuff, and not to discredit anybody out there who's been on the show who feels like they are also doing stuff, but you're going lead certified out there. You're going green out there, which I think is so important on the show. And I say a show, and I know that we were just speaking about how the senses are a little heightened right now because this is new. Every show is new to me, brother. Like every person who comes on is a different dynamic, different vibe. And yeah, dude, I lost my train of thought, but it's important that on this show we're always talking about doing something that at least matters, whatever that is. Matters to you, matters to somebody else, and what you're doing definitely matters. I think your first thing I was familiar with was bike to surf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, was that your first big project?
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. What's up, guys? It's Cameron. Stoked to be here. Thanks for having me today, man.
Anytime, dude. We were trying to get this locked in for a while now.
Yeah, we were. We had to reschedule, and we made it happen though. So I'm jazzed.
I've known Cameron for a real long time. He's actually one of in the group of our days of being real young and going to Hermosa Skate Park and kind of going through the works.
Yeah,
trying to figure out how to move on a skateboard.
Probably a few other skate parks too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we did.
How many skate parks do you think we hit?
3 for sure, because we've been to Vans together. We can count Vans as 2 because we were there before they remodeled Vans.
Mm-hmm.
And then they remodeled it. Remember, they had the kiddie section, which was so sick. I remember it now, and it was like just like a tube. I say a tube because it was almost like a hallway. It was like a hallway of quarter pipes all the way to the end with and the whole thing was just like filled with rollers and stuff. There was like nothing gnarly in it, and
So
everything
fun.
was like 4 feet tall. But then they redid it, and it got really gnarly. And I think I remember standing up on top of, I was talking about with Shelby Benjamin because he had been to the Van skate park, and we were talking about when he had gone on his own time, but I was up there with, it was like me, you, Jost, Ryan Carpenter, that whole group.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on top of the professional half pipe looking down. And it was the first time we realized that it goes oververt. So when you drop in on a pipe like that, there's a couple feet where you're like inclined. Super, super, super gnarly.
Just terrifying. I definitely did not hit it.
No, nobody did. We wouldn't even go down the roller on our butt.
Oh my God, dude.
It was gnarly.
Scary
It
stuff.
was double diamond for sure.
Still to this day, haven't dropped in on anything like that.
No, for
Maybe
sure.
the biggest, like one of those like medium-sized ones.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think about, there was this other skate park. I feel like I was with you, but I'm not 100%, but it was like this outdoor
Wilson.
skate park.
And we went for Nick Chepa's birthday.
That does sound familiar, but
Yeah, with
it
Pat.
wasn't concrete though.
Yeah, it was like wood
It was like,
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was outdoor. That was Wilson? Are you sure that was
No.
Wilson?
You're right. It was like
was
SC
something
Village
else.
because there was paintball going on right
Yes,
next door,
dude.
right?
We were together on that one.
Yeah.
That was a trip, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude,
That was
it was-
kind of a dope skate park, but kind of big too, and kind of a little bit gnarly,
real
I remember
big
at the time.
It was big. It was real big. Shout out Ryan Boyles. Ryan Boyles, I can tell he's gonna be coming on the show. I can tell because he's starting to like. Yeah, you can
Hell
you can kind of sense like when people are starting to fall into the groove, they start like liking the posts and stuff, and like you show up more on. See, the way Instagram works, and this isn't intentional, but how it works is like, we'll use that as an example, is like he liked one of my posts, and because of that, I am now seeing his posts. So then I'll like his posts, and now he's frequently coming into my feed, and this goes for anybody. This is just the algorithm of how Instagram works. But all of a sudden, you're like seeing each other's shit all the time. And I think I'm gonna have him on because he's a pretty driven dude too,
Bro,
right?
I can't wait to listen to that. And also, I'm just noticing this third microphone over here and thinking about how much fun it will be sometime to riff with someone else as well.
So
Have you done some 3-person episodes?
For sure. So
Or two
The
guest episodes?
the first one I really did. So first of all, let me explain the 3 microphone setup. What we have here is there's another screen, and what that screen does, dude, is it mirrors this screen right here. So this is where, like, you'll see here, this is people drop by and give comments. My homeboy Pepe just stopped by. Pepe, what's cracking?
What's up, Pepe?
So people will stop by, but you can be on the other side and see comments and see what you look like and see. So, but it gets better. Like, well, it doesn't get better. It gets more utilized in like a couple weeks. A UFC fight's going on, and I'm having 2 jiu-jitsu dudes in here, and they're gonna break down the fights for that night. So, and we'll watch it on that screen. One person will be over there watching, and we'll be breaking down the fights and stuff. So, I mean, it goes on and on, but it's gone to like, well, first thing I wanted to do is it's always comfortability, right? Is that nervousness that you were feeling before you came on? It's a very natural feeling, you know, and something that helps that is like, hey, come with me, bro. It goes all the way back to like back in middle school when like you didn't know how to go on a date by just yourself. You would just bring the friend or some shit. So it's just like that, man. It's like, yo, I don't want to go on the show by myself. Come with me. Now you have a chance to like, now I can just third wheel 2 friends, 2 business partners, 2 whatever, and it's completely opened the door to it, you know. And the first one was Ryan Rojas and his sister Morgan, and they have like a film critic website that they've been running forever. They go to Sundance every year and stuff. So,
How rad.
What's that?
How rad.
Oh, super rad. I've never been to Sundance, but apparently it's a trip. Apparently it's a trip because like, well, apparently it's rad because doesn't like everything that come out of Sundance, like it's good. Like if somebody's like, yo, this won a Sundance festival, doesn't that mean like it's high caliber? Like,
dude, when I think Sundance, yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I think quality, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think things on the perimeter, on the edges, you know, like in different, not like in the mainstream, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Cause that's where you got to go, right? That's like the alternative. That's like the alternative championship. I feel like Sundance, you know, because I feel like if you're breaking the mold, you know, you're doing something weird or like a super informative documentary, despite how you feel about it. I feel like Fahrenheit 9/11 would be like a Sundance vibe, you know, or like a silent film filmed with like a fucking roll of toilet paper and a kaleidoscope or something weird, you know. That's like where the things from Sundance end up. But yeah, they go to Sundance every year, and I would like to do, dude. Actually, the coolest thing that's happened so far is I got contacted by this band La Onda, and I don't know them, but they were referred to me by another one of my guests, and they have a record release coming out, and they wanted to come on here and talk about the record.
Sick, dude.
And that was rad.
What kind of music?
I don't know, dude. I'm gonna check it out. I want to check it out like closer then, because I really wanted to be taken aback by it and all the emotions to feel fresh. I don't want my opinion to feel stale in the slightest bit. So I'm going to check it out like 2 days before, listen to it, but they're all from the South Bay. And yeah, dude, that's kind of like, I had somebody the other day like, yo, like, they said something along the lines of like, yo, you're going to make it one day. Like, or not like that. Like, oh, it was a meme with Joe Rogan. They're like, yo, keep doing the thing, and Joe Rogan will come on the podcast, I bet you. And I'm like, man, we made it, dude. Like, we made it already. Like, we have bands coming on. We have people come on to talk about their stuff. This thing isn't being shut down, you know? It's pirate radio. We made it, dude. You know? So
I love that outlook.
Yeah, for sure. And everybody,
you've been having fun, man.
Yeah, and that's what's so important about this whole thing, dude.
And this is just so fun. This whole setup, this whole thing is just like,
yeah. Well, it's
fun.
It's supposed to be intimate, dude. If I was good at it, so I wanted to tell you about how this whole thing came about, dude.
Yes, I've been
growing up
to know about this.
Yeah. So growing up, I was kind of in the shadow of my like I kind of had my old I was in the shadow. My sister was an athlete for sure. Super competitive, and that was her thing. Like, we were always at the volleyball tournaments. Alex, stud surfer, that was his thing. I had my music, but at a certain point, I had stopped pursuing music so I could get a degree because I promised my dad I would. So I got a degree in graphic design. I didn't even mean to. I went to the college, I went to admissions and told them I wanted to be an audio major. And they were like, "You're bad. Your grades are too bad from high school." And it wasn't, I was just unengaged in my classes. It wasn't like I was
Mm-hmm.
incapable of
Mm-hmm.
getting any grades, any worthy grades. So I ended up kind of just blindsiding this graphic design degree because I took some classes in high school. I did have an interest and think I'd pursue it. Now I'm obsessed with it. But after college, I worked the same job for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
as you know. Kind of watched a lot of people pass me, on Instagram. It's easy to do. Go on the feed and damn, this person's doing this now. I'm going to the same job, clocking in the
Mm-hmm.
same shit. I was smoking a lot of weed, drinking. Sobriety plays a big role in this story. I got tired of trying to figure out what I was about in this whole time. I'm giving you the skinny here. In this whole time, which had been like a 10-year period of me going to school for graphic design, kind of being out of place because I wasn't in bands and my friends were still playing shows and touring and now they're signed and stuff. It's kind of lost my voice, and I think that was one of the big reasons I was stoned all the time is because it's scary and it takes a lot of effort to go out there and keep trying things to really develop what you have. So I said, "Hey man, what if my voice is not having a voice? Like what if my purpose is to give other people a voice?" And I've elaborated this idea and it turned into one thing, turned into another, which turned into another. And next thing you know, man, we had talked originally about how I was going to play video games,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and like give people who maybe don't have somewhere to go a positive place to hang out. And that was one of the reasons why it was important for me to be sober,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted people who spent their time with me, even digitally, to be spending it somewhere positive. And that's evolved. You can only spend so much time. It felt like my analogy is like it's felt like the Venice Beach boardwalk, where you're kind of just juggling, like, "Hey, come check it out, come check me out, come check me out," and that's really short lived.
Yeah, I get you.
And it's evolved into just no video. I started having people
Yeah.
on to play video games with me to talk about themselves, same way this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've pulled out. I've pulled out the video games because,
Mm-hmm.
again, video games only go so far with a certain amount of people.
Yeah.
And now it's a talk show.
Yeah, and you got into like the streaming thing through the video game
Yeah,
like
that's why we're moving to
project.
YouTube.
And then I mean it seems like it was an important part on your path to get to this,
Yeah, dude.
And it's pretty neat where it's ended up. I'd love to like, so you mentioned like giving others a voice. I mean, and you said something to the effect of your purpose is not to have a voice, but to give others a voice. I think first of all, I'd encourage you to think about it's okay to have both, have both a voice, because you definitely do. In addition to letting others share theirs,
For sure.
but dude, yeah, like, I mean, to be honest, I haven't watched a ton of.
That's my fault. That's another subscription.
Oh no,
that
that's
was
all
my
good.
that was my band playing the drums.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that was my that was the alert.
Commercial break.
Yeah, no. Sorry, dude.
No, it's all good, dude. But yeah, I was just thinking like, yeah, I'd love to know. I mean, it's just friends, it's network, and it's talking about a wide variety of topics from what I understand.
For sure.
Which I love. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
But like, is there like a particular angle or direction that interests you the most?
For sure. I would say development of oneself in the most positive and positively infectious manner possible. I have made it a point to highlight people who do positive and healthy things with their life, because I spent so much time being negative and unhealthy with mine. Before my sobriety, it included cocaine throughout the night, pack of cigarettes a day, drinking, smoking weed for about a decade straight. Um, and yeah, man, I'm tired of that story,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand that it wasn't easy, and that was my uphill fight, but it wasn't until I started doing a better job listening to people that I realized that everybody's got an uphill fight. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's just the motif of your uphill fight. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think anything if I could have this podcast do anything for anybody, it would be obviously a place of learning, a place of experience where you could hear a story and maybe, it you're like, holy shit, that's kind of what I'm going through,
It resonates with you.
and just as important to me is to promote my friends and whatever they're going through. And friends is and not limited to my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to have this. Thank you for my buddy Kenny. Kenneth is Francis Kenneth. He's a model, so he's got this fucking crazy name. It's like 3 first names. But Francis Kenneth, he knows a guy who is an ex pastor of a super church, a mega church, and has a lot of dirt on that. And again, like, I'm willing for that guy to come on, and it's his time to shine, man. I don't know him personally, but I'm willing to. I want to promote whatever he's doing, you know. So I would say just social promotion of each other's. I would say products, but I say products in a weary way because I don't mean like this is information or infomercial land. But
Yeah, it could be ideas.
yeah.
Sometimes projects is a nice way to refer to it.
Yeah, for sure. I think
That's
so.
how
Just
I always think about it.
yeah, because projects don't necessarily have to be like
A
tangible.
product, it could be a product.
Yeah, but it
right?
also could just be like a developing idea.
Yeah,
Because I don't think this is a product. This is just kind of an idea. It changes every month.
fair
you know?
enough.
But I guess since it is like what I was gonna say earlier is when you said show, like this isn't a show. This is like a documented conversation between two people who live two separate lives and care about things, care about different things, and it's just chemistry. That's all this is like it's two different chemicals and you're mixing them for 2 hours, and
I'm
you
seeing
never
what
you never
happens.
know. You never know. It hasn't been gnarly. There just hasn't been any, like, nobody's been worked up or anything. And I think that I did a pretty good job, like, trying to people please growing up. I kind of have a good eye for like when something's going south.
Yeah.
Because I definitely don't want to, like, hey dude, you could use that practice pad right there.
That works too.
Yeah, sorry, I should have made that clear.
All good, bro.
Yeah, dude, let's talk about you, because I feel like I've been talking. If I sound a little crazy
I
today,
love it when you talk.
I know you do, but this is about you, dude. If it sounds like I've been a little crazy, so I've quit my job 3 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
I'm doing freelance every day.
Yeah.
I don't sleep in. I don't chill.
Dude, I'd like to talk about freelancing with you because I'm freelancing as well.
Yeah, it's kind of gnarly, right? It's gnarly if you don't think about the right now. Like, if my mind wanders from the right now and it's my enemy mind being like, what about bills? What are you going to do about this? What are you going to start to stress out? And it pulls me towards my resume. I'm like, oh, I got to get a resume done. I got to get a, but you got to fight. You got to fight your enemy mind, man. You got to believe that you can fucking do it. So anyways, real quick disclaimer. If I sound crazy, it's because I'm running off of just like coffee and fucking work. Yeah.
You're grinding.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, dude.
Damn.
For sure.
Hope you get some rest though soon. Bro.
Yeah. Tonight. Well, I'm playing Gillis this weekend, so I'm going to have to get some rest tonight, or else I'm going to have a heart attack this weekend. So I got.
Yeah, definitely get some rest.
Tonight, I got to get some rest. So let's talk about you, dude, please.
Dude, yeah.
I mean, you're such an intricate, and I say intricate because, like, you're so, like, you have your hands on like such specific little projects, dude. It's really wild. Let's just start from high school, dude. So in high school, we were on surf team together.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make I'm going to make the bet that me and you lived way two different lives. After mine was full of music and bands and stupid recreational activities that are super unhealthy, and you seem to pursue a certain life for yourself.
Dude,
And, let's hear about it.
I've got something to say about that for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, dude, so I went to San Diego State after high school,
Mm-hmm.
and just let's say more recently, I've become really interested and excited about education, and I'm pretty sure you have too. The show's kind of educational even, but one of my projects is an online education project. I've had a number of really powerful online educational experiences over the last couple of years, and around the topic of education, I've become aware of some of the shortcomings of the educational system in which we grew up in.
For sure.
And when I look back, it makes me a little bit sad to think that I wasn't interested in learning until after college. And yeah, so that's a surprising thing for me, and so yeah, getting through high school, I really was not thinking about learning my future. I don't know, I just wasn't thinking about it. I come from a pretty privileged background. My folks own a business. They own a restaurant here. It's called the Richmond Bar and Grill in El Segundo, and I still work a couple shifts there a week. And so privilege in the sense of I always have a job, right? So I just wasn't real driven. I wasn't real motivated looking at like the future and thinking about professional development and setting myself up for a career or anything like that.
Do you mind if I ask you what was important to you in this time of you feeling like you weren't concerned with your future or anything?
Yeah, it's a great question, dude. And it sounds a little bit silly to say, dude, but consumed like many young boys, and still to some extent I am now, with meeting girls and
For sure.
pursuing romantic things,
chasing ass, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And then surfing and
By the way,
getting good waves and whatnot.
For sure.
So those were really like all
Cameron
that was on my
rips. I don't know why we haven't talked about that, but you're a big time surfer.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure. Cameron is one of the better surfers in my age group from El Segundo. I think, were you one of the best in our grades? In our grade?
I don't know.
I always thought you were.
I definitely I was on the surf team and stuff like that, and I surfed a bunch, and yeah, I was doing some contests and like really going for it. Not as hard as the kids who were like really doing well though in those contests and stuff, because it was real competitive.
For sure.
But yeah, still a
surfing
huge
has always
surfing
been
fan.
Yeah.
It's a big part of my lifestyle.
For sure.
And it's thing that brings me some of the most joy out of almost most things in my life.
For sure.
Still love it. Still really drives the way I want to like design my life around being able to go surf and stuff like that.
For sure.
But yeah, dude. So went to college at San Diego State and
to pursue what?
This surfing and
like what was your major?
I chose communication as a major.
We know why everybody goes to San Diego State.
But yeah, so I was studying communication, and I chose that because there's going to be minimal math, kind of broad, kind of felt like relevant skills, communicating, like important for everyone, with someone with very little direction in terms of understanding of what they're interested in doing.
For sure.
It seemed like a good fit, and it turned out to be actually great. And there was some applicable like knowledge gained throughout the experience. So I got through college, made tons of great relationships, really had a great experience all around, got decent grades and everything like that. Got finished, and I was still somehow not thinking much further out, I don't know. It's like, it's surprising to me now thinking back. Like, but again, I had a job I could always come back to. So I think that is probably the key reason why I
For
wasn't
sure.
stressing.
Yeah, you weren't in survival mode.
Yeah. And so thank you for that. So still so grateful for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I wanted to go do some travel. And this is really where everything started. And it's funny, like, a lot of people talk about travel and a lot of people talk about the idea of taking a trip after college or taking a sabbatical or like a gap year and stuff like that. I definitely, mine was like waves driven travel. So it was definitely like, I want to go
Indonesia.
yeah, I went to Indonesia and I wanted to go surf the waves that I had been seeing on my television screen since I was a young kid, just dreaming about. Because the waves look dreamy themselves. Like, it's just the most dreamy looking places, but just was dying to go surf those waves. And so a couple of friends and I went down to Bali and, dude, so much of what came after had to do with my friend started a travel blog, and then I was like, oh, it's kind of a fun idea. It's kind of cool. Like, and I had started this little blog in college for like a class project, and it was called producingsurfculture.com. And I was like, oh, I have this blog. I could just start writing on it. And so I started writing some little travel stories, and like just people on Facebook at home and stuff were enjoying it. And so it got me thinking, oh, maybe maybe I could be a writer of some kind. And so, so I started going down that travel blog like route of learning about a little bit about the blogosphere and like what that's all about. Um, and that was what eventually led to doing the bike to surf thing, which was, I feel like, what led to everything else. But yeah.
So you had to come home first after the travel. You were doing the travel blog,
Mm-hmm.
and then you came home and you said, "Well, fuck, I still need to write," because it was something that you were passionate about at this point, or something. It was like just a project to keep you constructive.
Dude, I think.
At what point were you like, "Oh shit, I like writing. Like, I really like writing."
That's a good question. I think
Because
I think I had always kind of liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I was in college, actually, one of the things, I took a writing class. Okay. And I wrote like this little essay called what was it called? Something about the little things, and it was like a cute little like philosophical essay. And it was just like, the teacher just loved it, and it was allowed to be creative, and it wasn't within these constraints of our like 5-paragraph essay format that we learned. And I think I enjoyed that, and it seemed to come out okay, and like the teacher really enjoyed it. And
for sure.
And so yeah, I think like the writing in that creative sort of like less constrained way was like, I guess I enjoyed that. Yeah, and when I came home, I planned another trip, and I went to France and did some more like surfing and traveling and blogging and whatnot. And then I came home and I worked a little bit, and then I went back to Indonesia. So over the course of like 2 years, I did some good, pretty solid trips, and like some was alone, some was with friends. It's interesting because
which do you prefer, traveling alone or with friends?
I love both. I hear
both. There's something,
they're pretty different.
I hear there's something like primitive about traveling alone. Like, it pulls out like a different gene in your body. Like, you're not in like survival mode is a different way to put it, but you're more adaptive, and you're definitely thinking more, not sporadically, but not so. You don't have to like conform to what your friend or your guest or whoever you're with is. You can kind of just adapt into whatever situation you're in. Mm-hmm. And I hear traveling alone is what really pulls out like like the traveler gene in somebody, because you really are susceptible to adapting to whatever situation you're in, you know, whether it's sitting in the dirt eating food because like whatever. You know, you don't have to like worry about pleasing somebody else, and there's no group think or anything, you know, and you're really just doing whatever. But I've never like done a big boy travel by myself.
Dude, it's I highly recommend it. It's um for me, the first thing that comes to mind is the social interactions, because if your friends are right there with you, you're less inclined to say hello to the stranger sitting next to you on the, you know, while you're waiting for a flight or something like that, or just whatever at the hostel or whatever. And when you're not with your friends, you're more likely to engage with them. Not to say you wouldn't engage with them if your friends were there, but there's just more of that. And for me, so much of the experience are the people that you meet along the way.
For sure.
And so I think that gets a little bit amplified, and it's just different.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a great thing to do. I'm just highly recommending it. But like, I feel like my mindset around like what travel is for me has changed over time, and especially since then. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to future travel experiences with, you know, feeling a little bit more mature and more having a better understanding of what it's for me, what I want it to be for.
What's it for you?
For example, like back then it was probably a lot for like posting cool pictures on Instagram, you know, and like looking pretty sweet to the people in my network and whatnot. And now it would be much more about challenging myself, about seeing the way other people live, about tuning out a little bit, you know, from the fast pace,
The American
the
tendencies.
fast pace of living here at home and living how we live.
Yeah.
So slowing down for sure.
For sure.
I've come to value that a lot.
Are you pretty high tempo?
It's part of the reason I brought this book for Drew. It's called Wherever You Go, There You Are. It's a book about
I really appreciate that, dude.
Mindfulness, meditation, and everyday life. And like, yeah, so that's become something I value really highly. And like, I feel like travel is a really interesting way to go slow down. But I did catch myself the other day, and I was like realizing that sometimes I use travel as like an idea in my head as this crutch. It's like, oh, when I go travel, I'm going to like slow down. I'm going to do the like X, Y, and Z things that actually I could do right here at home and easily don't have like that great of an excuse to do. So I think about that too.
For sure.
But yeah, so that's kind of what travel is for me now. I mean, I definitely waves are another thing, like really going and getting some high quality surfing in
For sure.
means a lot to me.
What do you love about surfing?
Yeah.
In relation to you making more of a spiritual effort on these vacations, how does surfing align with that?
That's a great question. Yeah. Surfing for me feels a little bit spiritual. I definitely feel like I take some time out there, and I didn't always do this, and this is more recent stuff for me. A lot of this, the spiritual aspect of stuff, you know. But yeah, I definitely feel like being in the water, there's a good feeling for me, and riding waves it's just a lot of fun.
For sure.
So I would say those are the main things, but definitely like, yeah, a pod of dolphins might swim by you in the morning. It's not like an uncommon thing. And that's just a pretty neat feeling, you know, like just being in those being in a different environment. So I think I really enjoy that.
My favorite thing about surfing, and I surf nowhere at the caliber you do, but my favorite thing about surfing is how far you are from your electronics. You feel far from your electronics. And it wasn't until I went surfing. So I was on a big hiatus. So for the past 5 years, I started work every day at 7 and would get off at 4. Not much of a surfing schedule there.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you want to surf on the weekends, and anybody who lives here knows you don't surf on the weekends. It's just a mess.
Yeah.
You know, it's a zoo out there, especially since Wavestorm has come out with easy accessible foam boards, which I don't know, the local in me is like, dude, get out of here, you know, but you need to be like, it's great that everybody now can surf. Before it was like you had to put up the $400-$500 for a glass board, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't much surfing going on in my life at all. And just recently, I just started surfing again with my buddy Kevin, and it was the first time in so long, especially as a designer. I mean, you look at my office, I mean, there's electric, there's glow, there's all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got into the water, it was the first time in so long where I was like, wow, this is quiet, you know? And those experiences are rare to me. I think especially just because my environment, I mean, I listen to hardcore music. I'm like always like everything is loud and fast tempo and electric. And yeah, it's one of the only things, even if I go skateboarding, you know, I always have my earphones on.
Right.
Anything. Surfing is one of the only things where you just cannot be attached to really anything electric, short of like a watch or whatever, you know? Yeah,
that's a nice piece.
Yeah.
And like ever since I started biking to surf, which I still do.
Yeah. That's right.
I just absolutely love. I recognize it's really fortunate to be able to live this close to the ocean, but I just hop in my wetsuit right at home and ride my bike. So it's phoneless from the moment I like step out of my door, you know?
Yeah.
Which is nice as opposed to driving your vehicle down there, you know, looking for parking, paying for parking.
Yes.
There's so many days where I'm just like, so awesome not to be looking for parking right now. I mean, it's just like a nightmare down there, dude.
Sure.
It's like
it's crazy.
It's just crazy. And
Are you still surfing down at Jetty?
Zero. Yeah, I'm at the Jetty, and it's just zero worries. It's just cruise down. I just love it.
And you know, it's fun. It's weird trying your best to live the most spirit. And I say you in general. It's tough for one to be living their best spiritual self here in Los Angeles, because it's moments like that parking lot that really pull you out of your spiritual self. I mean, you want to see a very not so down to earth, not spiritual Andrew, put me in traffic on the 405. I am toxic, dude. And it's a feeling. It's your senses are heightened because you're gas, brake, gas, brake, gas, brake. You're looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the main reasons why I got a road bike. You know, it's just because I lack the skills to feel an urgency to be wherever I need to be if I have to drive there in traffic. Mm-hmm. I'm like, hey, nope, not going. Mm-hmm. My girlfriend wants to kill me because she's this beautiful, fun, I would even say trendy chick that loves going to Venice and getting a $5 croissant and shit. And she likes that scene. Mm-hmm. I mean, she really, and it's just because she's just very happy-go-lucky. These things don't bother her. Mm-hmm. But I haven't been north since college. You know, I am totally susceptible to the bubble because anything north is a war zone, you know? Gosh, and there's no freaking way, but
I feel you big time, man.
Yeah. So you got back. Well, it sounds like you still were traveling. Let's talk about your objective with Bike to Surf.
Yes.
So what exactly did you want to do?
Yeah. So I love telling this story, man. I love talking story. I just so fun.
Hey. Someone just dropped by and said hi. I think it's a new face. Hey.
Love it. What's up?
Okay, I got to pay attention to Cameron though. This was an old issue we used to have. Is the chat used to derail the conversations.
Yeah.
So I have to be fair and be like, yo, I will address you in like 10 minutes. So now you go. So now you go.
No, I love that.
So now you go ahead.
Don't worry, I haven't forgotten the story. So
okay.
So I think I was doing research for like topics to write about, mm-hmm. and I don't know Oh, you know what? Okay. I had started guest contributing to the Inertia. You know the Inertia?
Mm-mm.
It's like it's a online publication for surfing. They also have a mountain like version. Um and it's called the Inertia. They're based over in like Venice or something, and they did really well. They created a really really successful like publication, and it was pretty neat. So, but like a lot of the model was based around guest contributors, and like I think there's a lot of good. Probably I don't read it or anything like that these days, uh, but anyways, I had this, so I started writing some random posts on there. And I think in general, sort of one of the strategies for growing a blog is to do what's called guest posts on other people's blogs, and ideally big blogs, that are going to link back to you. So readers could, in theory, then if they enjoy the post, they're like, oh, who's this person? Click on them, find your blog type of thing.
That's exactly what
gain
this
some
is.
new audience.
Yeah.
Similar thing. And so I guess I don't know exactly why I decided. I don't know how I landed on getting interested in the environment, but I do remember I stumbled upon this PDF titled "A Surfer's Guide to Sustainability," and it was basically like a guy's project they did in college. And I read through it, and I just was like, it really hit me. I was like, oh shit, there's all this like environmental related issues going on that I'm not really thinking about, not really wasn't aware of, and then I was all of a sudden. And like
As it related to surfing, was
no,
surfing the key
no,
to the
it was
door?
kind of more general, but it also like had some recommendations on how surfers could like live more environmentally friendly lifestyle.
Like reduce their
And
carbon
I think
footprint?
one of them was like either drive less or bike to surf or something.
For sure.
Um, I don't even know if it's I'd ride your bike to the beach, but I think in general it's like drive less, ride a bike, whatever.
Yeah.
And dude, and so I was at Strand Brewing Company in Torrance, and it was like a Saturday, as in the afternoon. I remember it well, and just like hit me that a blogging idea, like a story that I could create, could be I could choose to only go surfing by way of my bike for 1 year, and then write about that and use it as a way that's kind of like a good cause, promoting a good message,
That's
give an
legit.
opportunity that I could actually reach out to people, and hopefully that they would share it, and I could help to kind of grow my audience. And
Uh-huh.
um and and so it went from that to I was thinking I would also do a road trip on my bike down the coast, which sounds pretty sick, but very gnarly, obviously,
Sounds super gnarly.
Very gnarly. And at some point, I realized that I actually didn't want to do that, and that I didn't
Yeah.
need to do that for it to be something that I could work on and for it to still be interesting.
Yeah.
And do something. And then a few months later, it was like in the beginning of the year that this happened, maybe March, February. A few months later, um, uh, I decided to create an event instead, and it was going to be Bike to Surf Week. And the idea was during that week, I was going to invite surfers internationally to choose one day during this week to use an alternate form of transportation to get to the beach. And the whole message was like how and why we can and should be lowering our carbon emissions as surfers, being people that kind of spend all of this time in nature that we want to protect and whatnot.
For sure.
And ended up getting a great mentor named Matt Roberts. He's an El Segundo guy, actually, and older than us, and ended up turning it into a nonprofit so that people could help to support via donations. And then I did this event in September, and it was pretty neat. I mean, there were some really cool things, like World Surf League shared about it, and a couple of like Surfrider Foundation, which I ended up getting involved with later.
That's huge, dude.
Dude,
World Surf League?
yeah, that was so cool, man. And
They shared your idea?
they shared the event because I think I tried to connect with them.
For sure.
that was actually a serendipitous thing. There was so much serendipity in that whole experience, dude.
Yeah.
Two things I'll just say. There's so much I want to talk about, but two things I'll just say is one is like the COO of the World Surf League at the time came into the Richmond, our restaurant,
No
while
way.
while I was bartending, and he was wearing a World Surf League hat, and I said, "Hey, what's up? Like, where'd you get that hat?" And we started talking, and I told him about this project, and he was part of the like just meeting him in that chance scenario is the reason it ended up getting promoted by them.
No way.
Which was dope. Another thing that happened at the restaurant, which was insane. This writer from the Easy Reader was in there, and I pitched him told him about my project, and I was serving him food, and he did a 2-page like spread in the Easy Reader, which was also huge. So there were so many things
Whoa.
that happened like that.
Yeah, that's epic. How long at this point had you been working on it?
Only a couple of months, few months.
Oh, you got hooked up, dude.
Yeah.
These kind of breaks don't happen to people for a couple
those
years.
Things
or
were,
like
dude. Yeah, those things were, like I said, like really chance and like
Nice.
fortunate. And that was dope. And that first event was cool. And like the vault, like it's so interesting to think about how I would do it differently now. The volume of people probably was not that high, but the cool thing was like the way the support was from the different organizations that helped promote. And like there were people that did it in like 12 different countries or something, which was really cool, right?
Yeah, super
But
sick.
like I think now the way I would approach it is I would start like right here at home in the South Bay, and I would start small and more specific and focused in one area that and like a little more tight and a little more word of mouthy type of approach, just like what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I ended up doing another bike to surf event the following April, and a third one which was specific to Portugal, which was this person in my network who reached out, and she was from Portugal, and she surfs and was involved in the surfing community there and loved like the concept, and ended up kind of hosting an event in Portugal, which was so cool. And like I realized that could be a little bit of a model, like to have people in different places kind of hosting their own events and type of thing.
For sure.
But
all revolving around biking to surf.
Or using alternative transportation
for
surf,
anything to go to
and
the
you
park
know what?
to
Yeah, sure, kind of, but I think again, I think probably if I was going to be specific, which I think would be a smart in that case, stick with biking and surfing.
For sure. But were they?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, for their little like event that they put on, they were skateboarding and doing some different
for
things.
Sure,
that's funny. It was cool.
That's really super cool. So what at this point? And this is just a little checkpoint in on Cameron at the time, is at this point, what is your goals and how have they changed since San Diego State? So San Diego State, your eye's not really on the future.
Yeah, I don't think I had goals while I was at San Diego State,
Yeah.
And then at that point, my goal, I don't think it was particularly clear yet.
While you were doing this bike to surf thing?
But I think I wanted to grow the organization.
Your bike to surf organization.
Yeah, ideally to a place where I could sustainably work for myself.
For sure.
On that project.
Cool.
So that would have been my goal at the time.
And did this project do anything for you spiritually? Did it give you a sense of purpose because you were handling surfing, you were handling something that reduced carbon footprint, which is a pressing issue in the late 2010s.
Yeah.
This is something that you found spiritually gave you purpose.
Did it give me purpose spiritually?
Or was this just something that you're getting older and you're like, fuck, man, I need something to work on? Because
that was part of it for sure. That was always a big part of it. But I definitely it was something I valued, it was something I was coming to value more.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that it was aligned with my values.
For sure.
Something that came up was just like the element of the way it's changed my lifestyle from driving very rarely now.
Mm-hmm.
That's like been a beautiful thing for me.
For sure.
I mean, I skateboard and walk and ride my bike as much as possible.
As do I. Yeah.
And that's
That's-
pretty profound,
that's
like in
changed
terms
me.
of, yeah, that's a special thing. So that in its own, what else? Oh, I think spiritually speaking, like starting to admit to myself or believe in myself, that like maybe it's believe in myself that I could create something that's worthy of being created.
For
I
sure.
think that was really cool.
Yeah.
And start to believe like, oh, I could do something,
Yeah.
may not be this, but like it gave me this little sense of confidence that I could create something.
Did you not have that before?
No,
you
dude,
didn't.
I never felt creative. I was always just scared to. I felt so much fear growing up. It wasn't obvious on the surface, and I don't even think I was really aware of it, but I'm very aware of it now,
For sure.
But it held me back in so many ways, from like not raising my hand in class to ask questions, to like not asking the cute like girl out, to not like doing the thing in front of my friends or something, like being
For
silly
sure.
with them or whatever.
Yeah.
And didn't feel creative. And I really feel like that goes back to the education thing and the system that we currently have for the most part, and are came up from, and like it didn't evoke that create like me any type of feeling of creativity. And finally it was that writing, that travel blogging that started to make me realize like, and just like allow myself to feel like I could be creative in some way. And now, to be honest, I feel really creative. I feel like I got like, yeah.
Well, you're better utilized.
Hundreds of ideas, like, and things that are interesting. And I don't know. Yeah. It's so different now.
So do you think in a more utilitarian school system, they would have found out how much you liked, or you and they would have found out how much you're passionate about writing at an earlier age, and would have kept you away from outside things that would have just kept you from being the writer that you, I don't know, systematically would have been?
I think they would have created an environment and an experience in which I would have discovered that for myself a lot sooner.
For sure. That's why I
Way
fuck with like the
sooner.
Da Vinci schools. They like take
there's
take the
different
kids
approaches.
who are pumping out, like the 4-year-olds who are pumping out paintings, and they're like, "What do you want to do? Do math?" "No, I want to paint." They're like, "Okay, for sure. How much do you like painting?" "I really like painting." "Okay, you're gonna be a painter." And that's the school model.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes so much sense,
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like school it seems ass backwards. It's like, yeah, we're going to get these kids up at 7:00 in the morning, and then we're going to make them do a bunch of schoolwork that they could care less about, when all they're thinking about is what they care about, and girls or boys, or neither. Just they only care about what they care about.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's like a big fight for that, not to throw you off track, but
No, it's fine.
That's one of the big pushes for what is it? Fixed minimum wage, or livable minimum wage. I forget the term for
livable
it.
minimum wage. Something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like everybody will have enough to do what their purpose in life is to do.
Are you thinking about universal basic income?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't
that's
know.
fine.
I didn't UBI.
Yeah.
And I think that UBI philosophy in the school system would be that Da Vinci school model, where it's, we're going to give you the tools, do what you're passionate about, and be the best at whatever you're doing. And we're not going to crowd your day with, math or sciences and stuff. But, goes the question, like, some math is good math. We don't want to like put kids out there who don't have like a basic understanding of addition,
Yeah.
But we don't want little Cameron to get in the way of his writing schedule, because he's going to be this huge aspiring writer. But the kid's got to learn some math, even if he doesn't want to know it. You know? So it's kind of a loaded topic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's got to be a balance. I mean, so
like college has it down though, right? It's
some
like
of
you take the
No, I don't think college has it down either.
Oh, really?
Some of the
I went to art school, so
Dude, yeah, that's totally different,
Yeah,
right?
what the fuck do I know?
Yeah, there wasn't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there was multiple choice tests, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But I imagine there to be less of
We
those.
took
in
like
art
20
school.
minutes of political sciences or not political. Actually, I ended up taking a lot of political science because once the idea sparked in my head that the American history books might be biased, I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And then, I first started with the Iranian Kudiyat in like 1950, whatever. And I realized that the world's kind of trippy. And then I got really involved in political and sciences, but then it got really dark and I realized all of my conversations tended to be less than positive and was kind of grim. And I realized, like, from an outside looking in, political sciences tend to focus on the notions of negative behaviors of man, woman, whatever, mankind. And it was just kind of a dark hole, so I bailed out.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Probably
but yeah,
a decent move.
but at art school you take I would say 75% of the classes are things that are going to make you a better artist. And then you're 25% so that you're not hopeless when it's time to tip your waiter.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe they could do the school system like that. But I pulled you so far off, and I'm going to do my best to go back to
dude. I just on that education topic. So like,
yeah, we were talking about education.
Yeah. So one of the arguments that I have heard or like sort of critiques is the system was created back in like times when people were working in factories. And when it comes to the question of what was school for, what was the purpose of school at that time? Well, what do you need when you need workers in factories? You need to teach obedience. You need to teach how to follow the rules, basically, right?
Yeah.
And how to be right on schedule,
Yeah.
And, there are so much fewer, the world has changed so much
For sure.
the system hasn't caught up to where it makes sense. And like,
For sure.
Yeah. And then I just look at my own experience and it's just so clear to me, despite like so much good intention from all of the people in the system, the teachers, the administrators,
teachers are phenomenal.
Everyone is so well intentioned.
For sure.
But I just can't help but it resonates with me so much, the critiques of the system that I have heard. And I'm really excited about the future of education.
For sure.
And all the things that can be done online and the different approaches that we can take to creating experiences that are really rich and that really fit for raising, kids and citizens in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I there's this invisible model out there that is designed to, I don't know. We forget that our only job as human beings is just to survive. It's not to go get this 9 to 5, not to go. Our job is just to survive, and like, even with my job that I had just quit, I realized that 160 hours, it sounds backwards to quit your job, but I realized that 160 hours were not devoted towards my most productive activities, right? And the system would say that's broken, dude. Do not quit your job. Do not. But it's like, no. Like, I can figure it out. And since then, I've had to learn things because I believe that you always should be developing yourself. I'm sure you believe that as well. So I'm constantly on YouTube, design channels, design blogs, and there's so much. I mean, times are different now. I made a Facebook post.
I saw it. I loved it,
day.
and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it was like
I've been going down the same road. As
yeah, it was like it was along the lines of people in one of the biggest places was actually the Middle East. People back in the day used to travel by fucking ship to the Middle East. I believe, I want to say Jerusalem. I don't know, but they used to travel there to meet with people who had a certain knowledge. You know, you would go talk to gentleman A about topic A. You know, hopefully he has an answer for you, and you would travel there. It would take months. Dude, I have become a better designer since I've quit my job by just hanging out on YouTube a couple hours a day. You know, we live in a beautiful time, and that time, you know, like we are going to have to facilitate that notion of me being on YouTube and being able to develop myself and learning things in 5-minute videos. We're going to have to create, if we want to be as productive as possible, mankind wants to be as productive as possible, we're going to have to rethink this whole thing, you know, with the idea of utilizing this 5-minute learning experience just on the internet. You know, do I really need to be at school 8 hours a day? I don't think so, dude, because like I can figure this out. I think I can knock this out in 2 hours a day and spend the rest of my day writing or whatever. You know, we're going to have to, and it just makes sense. It's hard. It's almost blind to, and I say blind, I don't like saying blind because it's such like a conspiracy theorist term, but it seems so backwards to send somewhere. And you know what, like one of the things I agree with homeschooling is like, yeah, dude, I think that outside of the public school system, I think that you can put enough knowledge into this kid's head in a fraction of the amount of time that they would teach at public school. However, it's important for a child to learn social interactions, you know? So it's almost like, yeah, you keep them at home doing the homeschooling for 2-3 hours, but then go get them into borderline fights at the thing. Cause like kids need, cause I know a couple of people who have homeschooled where it's like you put them in a social situation and they're like a deer in headlights, man. They just like, you learn that stuff like in middle school, trying to ask a girl to the dance or like anything like that. You know, you have to go through those experiences, but eventually we're gonna have to we're gonna have to refigure this whole
see
thing.
if I can get this chair.
Yeah, it's okay, dude. That's the next thing. So
I was just fidgeting.
Yeah. Oh,
you were actually. This is perfect. Dude, yeah. So on the education conversation, some of the like recommendations that I have are we all good?
Yeah. Hold on. Actually, let me raise the mic a little bit.
So some of the recommendations that I have, like, that seem interesting to me. So, and these are ideas by this guy named Seth Godin. So just highly recommend, if you're interested in this topic of education, watching a short talk called "Stop Stealing Dreams." He talks about these recommendations, these critiques, and then these recommendations about education. And it's just, I'm so compelled by it. But some of the recommendations I love, and they make a lot of sense to me. So one is rote memorization. Why? There's no reason for it, right? We all have a phone where we can access all the information. So it certainly does not make sense at this point to be doing like multiple choice tests where you've just had to do rote memorization from a textbook, right? Because in the real world, we have our phone.
Yeah.
So we're working with information. It's about what you can do with the information, not can you just memorize that it's there. So that obviously makes no sense.
Yeah.
Two is homework during the day, lectures at night. So like, what do you like? We're rambunctious during the day. We're kids, we're people, whatever. We got all this energy, and like, that's when you want to work, right?
Yeah.
And then at night, we want to listen to stories. We want to take in content. We want to, like,
we used to do as animals, man. Like,
Totally.
when we used to hang out at campfires and listen to stories.
I was thinking the same thing.
For sure.
And like,
that
makes a lot more sense to me as well. So yeah, lectures at night, homework during the day. Another one, teachers taking on more the role of coach, which I think is really interesting. And, the idea that there are a lot of talented teachers um, uh, giving the same lecture all over the country every day. Think about it. Every grade, you have like U.S. history in like 7th grade or 10th grade or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 1 or 2 U.S. history classes or teachers giving the same lecture over and over and over. And then at every single school, like, why not have one of the best lecturers in the world give that talk one time and everyone access it through their tablet or smartphone or whatever
So
device
just
they
an
have.
online class that everybody.
I mean, if it's like, it doesn't make sense to have all of these teachers teaching the same thing like over and over and over, when one person could record it, do it one time in the most interesting and like engaging way, and everyone can easily access that right there on their tablet. Like, and then instead of those teachers lecturing, they're coaching and helping these students work on projects. Can be more self-directed projects, can be projects, within the curriculum that they're developing. But another one that I think is really interesting. But yeah, there's all sorts of ways that I feel like it could be shifts that can be made for it to make more sense. And
those are brilliant ideas.
It's a fascinating conversation.
Those are brilliant ideas. I mean, it's especially, yeah, I mean, that changed my whole outlook on a lecture series.
Yeah.
That it's just like, that kind of happens like, with like, what the bleep do we know? Like, it seems like a lot of people, or the secret, like that type of lecture, everybody has seen it, but you can give something just a great name, make it a Netflix series, boom, history or whatever, a class. That's fantastic. So, and then in doing so, because the kids are still going to be taking the same amount of time to learn the topic, right? Just more productively. Like, what's the end game here? More free time for students to pursue what they're actually. Why is it called Stop Stealing Dreams? That's what I want to know.
That's a good question. Why is it called that? To be honest, I don't know. But if I had to, my theory would be that, yeah, the system is kind of stifling and
for sure,
stealing dreams from all these kids and coming up within it, kind of including myself, like we were talking about,
For sure.
like I feel like it kind of did steal them from me, or it didn't. I don't know if it's
what would you have liked the school to do more for Cameron Brown growing up? Like, at what age do you wish, like, was it like, I fucking hated that math class?
No. It was never like that.
So
it was never. It's all in retrospect. It, like I said, and I want to be clear that, like, nothing but respect for all the people that were involved. Is this okay?
Yeah.
For all the people that were involved in my upbringing and education.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
Very grateful for it.
Well, I don't think it's the teacher's fault.
No. It's absolutely. It's just. It's no one's fault in particular. It's just. Yeah. But I just recognize that I feel that there needs to be some changes, and that I can just see my own experience and be like, well, why wasn't I interested in learning until after college?
For sure. Yeah.
That's just the way I feel. It's like I wasn't. Sure. Why is that?
I got bad grades my whole life until I went to art school. My whole life. I went to art school and I fucking killed it. And I mean, I'm just like, in simple terms, the math could be, did good in art school, did bad in normal school. What if I just started doing art school in like first grade? Where would I be today? And it's just like, I don't think that, I mean, is the world even ready for that kind of productivity? Let's just say I'm ready to produce advertisement for Apple by the age 16 with that timeline.
Sure.
I mean, the world is like, can the world be too productive? Like, will we eventually reach a ceiling where there's just like, people are working so efficiently that there's just like, but maybe then the downtime is real fucking downtime. Now it's like, well, there's like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just like trying to see with the foresight what that means for a 15, 16-year-old who has been studying type layout and logo theory and color scheme and like all the classes that I have, like going through that for 10 years or whatever the school says, 12 years. Like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean like 25-year-olds? Is that the new 40-year-old? Is that early retirement. Like, what
That's
is it?
so
Like,
funny to think
yeah,
about.
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know what that means, but I definitely think it's bullshit because I definitely spent a lot of time staring at the wall, waiting to go play my instrument and seeing what girls were up to,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep. Same.
And I think that it got me into, like, Andrew, you want to smoke some weed after class? Yeah, because this is fucking awful. And I would rather be on drugs than to deal with this right now. That's a problem. School needs to be more engaging, but I think it's just hard just speaking like non-statistically for a second. It just seems kind of hard to fine tune something for every single person in the world. I mean, in that case, I wouldn't. Maybe school is just
Well,
an
that's
app.
the thing. I think you build a system with a lot more freedom and flexibility.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you don't try to over fine tune it like it is now. It's like everyone learned the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
Tardy
it's like,
and
doesn't, yeah, it's more freedom and flexibility. It's like you create this container in which students can have freedom and flexibility to explore.
for sure.
And just see what happens.
But
and
how do we install discipline in there though? See, that's the fucking thing though.
discipline.
Cause like I needed somebody being like, yo, you want Saturday school? Don't fucking get here at 7:30, get here at 7. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to go to Saturday school. I gotta get there at 7. As if there's a container, I'm like, fuck you, dude. Coming in at 7:45 now. So there are some models that like need to be
discipline.
Yeah, there are some discipline notions that need to be considered when we do this open container, because we can't have like we can't have like the free thinking 12-year-old theory where we think these kids are good to go, like
Yeah.
thinking.
I think the freedom and flexibility is more in the content and in the content of what they're learning, of what they can choose to learn at when they choose to learn it,
For sure.
like what's interesting
For
to
sure.
them at that time.
Uh-huh.
I think like I said, creating the container, I think discipline can be an element in that, it can still be, you're at school from a certain time to another time. It's kind of creating that discipline and sort of
I like
routine
that.
type thing. But it's just then when you're in the classroom, what you are doing and the purpose of what you're doing is different.
Yeah, no, I definitely think like something that considers everybody eats at different times too, and it's like, yo, eat right now,
Yeah.
eat bagels
Yeah.
and Cheetos and shit,
Oh,
have a
gosh.
soda, at 10:15 when was our snack?
Something like that.
Like 10:30, and it was
Yeah.
like, yo, go get a soda and a bagel right now.
I'm sure they're working on that.
Yeah,
at
for
least
sure. I think that was they were
least
changing
in-
to sun chips, and
at
everybody
least in
was
places that
freaking
are
out.
fortunate enough to be working on that.
Yeah, for sure. Super crazy. Well, yeah, so let's keep going on the timeline, dude, because there's something that we hadn't even talked about where our paths crossed again, and that was, maybe I'm speaking too soon here, but I went to go pick up trash with you on the beach because I was so miserable trying to get sober that I was willing. That was the first thing I did where I was like, I need to do something outside of myself because I'm so sick of feeling as shitty as I do. So I went down to the beach and picked up trash.
Was that the I Film You Surf cleanup?
No,
or
it was,
which time was that?
It was the REI co-op.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember?
Wait.
It was a co-op cleanup. It was you and like, I think, are they from New Jersey or something? It was like a surf.
Yeah, dude.
I forget.
I do remember. Was it Dockweiler?
It was at no. It was at the north side of Darkweiler though.
Yes.
Yes, it was the north side, and I went down there.
I do remember that. Did you come with anyone?
No, I went
Okay.
by myself.
Yeah, that's right. That
I
was
told
tight.
you I would.
Yeah, that was tight.
And you were like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And the story behind that is I had been about a month sober. I just like, I don't know, life was crazy, man. It was like my friends weren't calling me. I wasn't calling my friends. I knew I needed to change. It's just life was weird, man. And I wanted to do something outside of myself. And I knew you were involved in what seemed like doing things outside of yourself
Yeah.
often. So I went down there and cleaned the beach, and I don't even think I stayed to say bye. I think I just did it
Mhm.
and then left, and I purposely like didn't take a picture. Like I didn't like say that I did it. You know, I didn't like fucking make a social thing that I did
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
because like I really was doing it just because I needed to feel better, man, because I just was having a really hard time going sober.
Mhm.
And I actually came home that night and was in tears that night because I was talking to my mom, and she was like, "Man, you did that? That's so great." And I was like, "Yeah, it was great, but like, why do I still feel the way that I do?" And this is why it's such a motivation, why I'm such a proponent for sobriety, and here as a platform for people to talk to me if they're going through something as well is like I went and picked up trash with Cameron that day, and I went home and I was in tears because I couldn't figure out why I felt so bad, like why it was so why just not why it was hard, but why I made the choice to design a life around substances, and like if this meant like all my relationships with my friends were because of substances. And but start was the that was the start. Your I don't want to activity for lack
Cleanup?
of, yeah, the cleanup was the first was the snowball.
Wow.
Yeah, that actually started that. And then I was like, well, I can't just be doing stuff. So I got over
I'm so
it,
happy you shared that,
and
man.
I felt better after that a couple days later, and I felt normal again, and I was like, well, I can't just be doing stuff because I feel bad, because even if I'm doing something unselfish, I'm doing them for selfish reasons, you know? And I need to just be doing these things because I'm a human being. And that's when I was like, well, what can I do? Because like Cameron's involved with the beach. I love the beach. And ever since then, that's developed into me not drinking or smoking because I think that those industries ruin lives. I don't eat meat because I think it's fucked up. And there's just studies showing that the carbon levels of concentrated meat farms are just one of the biggest causes of greenhouse gases. And yeah, I really started giving a fuck since then, man. And
A lot of respect for that.
your cleanup was like the first initial thing where I was like, yo, it can't just be a cleanup. Like it's got to be a lifestyle change. And like it could be my lifestyle change. It doesn't need to be like because I don't want to live Cameron's life, because Cameron's life's full. Cameron's living Cameron's life. I got to figure out how to do mine. And this, I'm so excited you're here today because this is my fucking beach cleanup, dude.
Yeah.
This is
It's so neat,
my
man.
evolved.
That's a beautiful story. I'm like, I love that you told that. So thanks, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's like
I think it's
there's
important
so
for you to
many-
hear for sure.
there's so many moments that we touch people without knowing it. You know?
Yeah.
It's like that we affected someone and just had no idea, and then it changed their day at an important time, and
For
like
sure.
could change a direction in their life. I mean, that's profound. Like that's it's really
For sure.
really special stuff, man.
Yeah, it made me question everything, dude. It's like I just we live in a time where it's like, and this is all the thoughts that I've developed as I've studied what I was going through on a chemical level, because I realized that a lot of this is chemical. And like I just, it was the first step where I realized that we live in a culture where, in order to celebrate, you got to go get fucked up, or like you need to be eating meat every fucking day. And it's like who benefits by doing these things? Do you benefit by going and getting super fucked up because you got a promotion? You don't benefit. The fucking alcohol company does. And what's their job? To sell you alcohol. How do they do it? By telling you it's super fucking fun to get fucked up, and it's that thinking that developed everything. Ever since your beach cleanup, I'm fucked up now. Like I don't have this lens where I can just like sit down and enjoy things. I have to think about what it really means, it's to such a profound event, to such a profound amount that I felt like I needed to tie up some microphones to a fucking table. And I was like, dude, there's got to be some people out there who feel this way about the world. I got to put on my feelers, but in the most positive manner possible, because there is positive ways to do it. You know, you don't like greenhouse gases are a fucking problem. You know, global warming is a real fucking thing, but you can bike to surf. You know, you can get a really nice road bike on eBay, you know, and don't forget, guys, it's not just like a substitute to driving. Biking's fun. It was fun when you were young, you know. That's people forget that.
Yeah.
That biking is just a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Riding down a hill and the wind through your hair and the sun on your back. It's just a great fun thing to do. And that's what this whole thing is about. You know, I didn't mean to make my story seem so doom and gloom.
You didn't. I don't think you did at all, man.
Oh, okay, good.
No, I didn't feel doom and gloom at all. No, so I love that. Yeah. And on the biking note, it's just like the social interactions too that you have that you don't have when the windows are rolled up. You know, in the car.
For sure.
It's like you say hi to a couple people, kind of just it feels good. You know, just like a good feeling to it.
For sure.
And that's another little element in addition to the sun and the wind and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and it's like again, I really don't think that we're designed. I mean, there's numbers that show that we are sadder than we've ever been. And when I say we, I mean me as a people. I mean we as a people. We are falling so far from what we are just meant to do. We are past our capacity. Technology is it's changing us. And I don't want to say, I think it's great how accessible information is so that we can learn and experience things that we don't personally have to learn for each other. I know war fucking sucks. I know war sucks. I've never been to war. But I know war sucks because of technology, right? I see pictures, I see videos, and I see the horrors of war. That's great. Yeah. Because in a world without technology, I'm like, war sounds kind of tight. Like, and you roll out there because it's all glory for glory, blah, blah, blah. But technology has brought me closer to that. But technology has also brought us very far from what we're naturally supposed to do. And I was talking to Ryan Rojas about this. I don't know how healthy it is that I can get on my phone and see what somebody in France, scroll, Alaska, scroll, Brazil, scroll. I don't know how natural it is for us to be able to do that. I think that genetically, human beings only have the capacity to deal with what is immediately in front of them, their campfire, if you will. And we are reaching outside of that. And one of the feelings I get when I spend too much time on social media and I become, quote unquote, too involved in other people's personal days. Like I'm seeing what somebody from Tennessee's fucking bagel looks like this morning and just the natural throes of Instagram is I feel like over caffeinated, you know, like overload, sensory overload. Like I'm looking at like someone from Florida and Nashville and all this shit. And we're living in a very unnatural times, and to bring it back it's very important that we do things on a daily basis, even no matter how small, that bring us back to those animal roots, like sitting and just having an hour-long conversation with somebody with no phones, you know, really just looking someone in the eye for an hour, having a conversation, going on a bike ride. Some would argue in a certain point of time, bike is technology, but you're using your blood, you're pumping the blood. You're moving, you know, you're outside, you're soaking in the sun, or getting fucking rained on, you know. It's important that in a time where we've never been sadder, we take a second to understand that, like, hey, well, like, what's changed? Well, a lot has changed, and what's easy to point out is we don't act like animals anymore, and it's important that we get out, we run, we get in the ocean, we get our hair wet. We let the salt sit on our skin a little bit, you know. We're not always medicating and putting lotions on and this and that. We got to be animals, you know. And I think that that's what's so notable about the biking everywhere is it's brought in that it's let out that, you know, even as a 28-year-old, 29, excuse me, Jesus, it's happening quick. It's let out that primal steam inside of me, you know, and that's one of my favorite things about riding a bike everywhere right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
yeah, getting outside makes you a
Yeah.
little happier.
Yeah,
kinda,
for sure. Along
or it
with a lot,
can.
and that's why it's important. Like, and like, I'm no expert, and there's people out there that definitely need medications, but I do know a lot of depressed people who live very not animal lives, and I say not animal in a way because I don't know a better word for it. Live a life where they're always on their phone, always around electricity, never moving. Eating the processed food.
Mm.
And one of my biggest hopes from going vegetarian was that I would take the time, instead of fucking whipping fucking fast food hamburgers, I'd be like, all right, dude, go buy some bell peppers, go buy some lettuce, some kale. Let's go figure out how to make a fucking salad. You're 30% through with your life. It's okay to figure out how to make some salad, you know?
Yeah.
And
Love that.
and instead of getting on these pills, instead of
Yeah.
like going and seeing and talking to somebody's great. I think like therapy.
Me too.
Therapy is different. Okay.
Huge supporter of that.
Yeah,
dude. Continue.
I'll stop here because it looks like you were excited to talk about that, and I want to let you talk. This is your episode. But therapy is different to me because therapy is just that fire pit conversation. And see, it's like, why is therapy working so well? It's because you're doing something that's primal. You're having a one-on-one talk. When you talk to your therapist, you're not like, yo, hold on. Sorry, hold on 1 second. You put your phone down and you're talking and you're talking. And, it's weird that we think it's magic that therapy works, but it's like, let's dumb it down. What's really going on? It's you and another person. You guys are talking and listening. You guys are alert and the phones are away.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that just even on, and that's just therapy. There's a million other things you can do on a daily basis that would bring you closer to your original self.
Right. Having a conversation with your friend is even so therapeutic sometimes. This is therapeutic for me, man.
For sure. You got excited
you
about
were you were
therapy.
touching on because I have been thinking a fair amount about depression, feel like the circles of podcasts and things that I listen to online, it's been a popular topic within these. And I've become quite interested in it. I've experienced it. I still experience it.
For sure.
And yeah, I see it all around and it makes me sad, and like, yeah, I think a lot of aspects of maybe the way culture and society is set up are not conducive to, or maybe kind of feeding that a little bit. But I mean, one thing I wanted to say on what I got all fired up about when you said therapy was just that, I mean, I don't know about you or anyone listening, but for me, there was a negative connotation or stigma attached to the idea of therapy when I was growing up, and you think like marriage therapy or family therapy, or I just always felt like, and maybe this wasn't in all circles, but in mine anyways, it felt like it had a negative stigma. And these days I feel like I very, very much support. I don't see it like that at all. I think it's a very healthy and good thing to do for people, and even happy people. Like,
for sure.
And one thing is like, for me, something that might be a barrier between you and having a therapist is like the price, right? I mean, it's really expensive. So there are some options nowadays, and I have a friend who's using this and actually really enjoying it with success. And I can actually follow up with you about what the service is, but I'm sure that everyone can find them. They're out there, but it's the idea of these like virtual therapists. So it's a service that you do like a weekly FaceTime with this person, and they be, via email and FaceTime, and you have a support person. And
like
it's
a pen pal.
Way, way more affordable. I mean, it's like a couple $100 a month or something to have, 4 calls and, and a bunch of email. And like, I don't know, just, it seems like I love to know that those options now exist for us.
For sure.
And so I think that's really great.
Do you think that we put the same amount of effort we do in talking to somebody out in the street that we do looking for friends online, generally speaking? See, here's my.
I know. I feel like I see what you're saying.
Like, I feel like the amount of effort, and this isn't to go. I think that's a great service. This is new topic. I feel like people are more prone, because it's easier and accessible to go make friends online on video games or something, than it is to go see somebody, than to talk to somebody in the street. And what I say by that is, I fear that people aren't necessarily putting in the effort to, well.
Dude, can I say something on
this?
Yeah,
please.
So the reason that I stopped using dating apps, which I had never used with any success whatsoever, was exactly related to this. So I recognized that I was satisfying the urge to talk to women by doing it via the app. And then when I was standing in line at the coffee shop and like an attractive person was next to me, since I was like already satisfying that urge to have those types of interactions on my phone, I wasn't saying anything in that moment in person in the coffee shop.
Right.
And I realized that just for me personally, it just felt like, first of all, there's more fear in that in-person interaction.
For sure.
And I just felt like it was a cop-out. Like it just felt like for me personally, just felt like the cowardly approach. It's like, I'm not going to say something to this beautiful person right here, but I'm going to go like home and sit in my room and like swipe, and like text. I realized that for myself, and I was like, no, I do not. This is not how I want to continue on with this. Stopped using the apps. And, now I'll try to say hello to that person, and try to be a little vulnerable and put myself out there and like get a little uncomfortable. And
dude, it's not.
But it's precisely what you're saying, right? It's
absolutely.
Yeah, and I 100% agree.
It's not only that, dude. Is like porn, for example. I'm sure that there are a lot of relationships out there that aren't having any sex because there's a ton of porn going on. Because porn's never been accessible. Back in the day, it used to be like click, click, loading. It was a pain in the ass. I think that there's something more at play here when you go and talk to the proverbial girl at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
I think that there's something in your brain that turns on where you feel like you are rewarded. Let's say you did get girl's phone number. I think when you go home, I think you don't register as just a task being completed. I think you went out, and it sounds silly, but you went and you fought and you won, and you wear it as a victory. Primal, dude. We're pack animals.
Yeah.
We fight. We live in a competitive hierarchy. You satisfy that hierarchy, that competitiveness. Motherfucker over there didn't get her number. I got her number. As easy as that is. And it's not a very kumbaya way to think about it, but you have to understand that when you put your phone away and you talk to the person in front of you, it's scary as fuck. Hey, how's it going? Me? Oh, I'm doing good. Everybody likes to talk. Okay, there's a few people who aren't into it. I have never, and I say this, knock on wood, because I'm going to Spain and Morocco in 2 months.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
I have never found trouble giving the amount of respect I feel strangers should give. Hey, how's it going? Looking them in the eye. Oh, I'm sorry. And it's never been like, yo, get out of my way. Get the fuck out of my way. It's always been like, oh, am I in your way? Oh, am I in your way? And then it's, fucking polite fest. And then until I realized like, oh, this is a great social interaction.
Yeah.
And you wear that when you go home and you're going through your day, it feels different than a busy day on your phone. You know what I'm saying? You have this, and I don't know, because I'm not a neurosurgeon. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I believe what it feels like to me is that there's this pool, and it's like for social activities, and it's only really filled if you do the real thing. You know what I'm saying? And when it's filled, you feel, and I think that a lot of people handle it differently. Some people's pools, are different. That's social anxiety, right? I think a lot of people deal with the pool differently, but I think filling up that pool brings you closer to those animal instincts. It could be as simple as having those one-on-one talks with anybody, Yeah, man, those apps are dangerous, right? Because they put well, I think they're dangerous in that they have the potential to get you really used to something that should be natural to human beings, like going and having a super busy day on Twitter, but not talking to anybody. Do that for a year straight. Is that person who's super active on Twitter, are they lonely or they feel very sociable? I'd be interested to see how sociable they feel after a year of only using Twitter,
Yeah. Ooh, that would be radical.
Yeah.
Dude, on the dating app note though, I was just thinking, like, I definitely have friends who have found partners and seem to have great partnerships with people that they met online, and I think I'm fully supportive of that. If it's for
Message Kenzie
because results
on
happen.
Facebook.
There you go. Results
7 years later.
It happens.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
But
it's
it wasn't
beautiful.
like hey, what are you doing for 3 years? And then it was like, hey, we doing this or what? Like the conversation. Yeah. Well, the conversations were, hey, what's up? How you doing? Good. Coffee. You into it? Yes. Okay. And it was a fire start. We properly utilized it as a tool.
Yeah.
As a tool. That's different.
To get together in person.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I got homies who have perfect example. Shout out my boy Liam. He started dating this girl. He's in Wales, and he started dating this girl who lived in Wisconsin. They were dating, and at first I was like, okay, have fun. It's going to be tough getting yourself emotionally invested in something so far away, and there's so much life that could happen in between all those miles. Sure enough, they hopped on a plane, met up, and they're great now. And I think that's important. That's utilizing technology. That's the tool.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get stuck in the tar pit, where it's just everyone, hey, what up? What are you doing?
Oh, man.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Utilizing it as a tool is differently. So I don't necessarily have a hate on the dating apps. I think that there's just a tendency that can happen, that could get you in the weeds with yourself.
I feel similarly, yeah. Yeah.
And your psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, dude, we do 2 hours, but we're coming up to 20 more minutes. Let's talk about your projects that you got going on right now that you're super proud of. And then we'll have to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, dude.
That happened so quick.
That happened so quick. It's so fun.
It always does.
I love
dude.
this so much. It's so fun for me.
You are easily the most relaxed position in a chair. Some people go the whole time, straight posture, making sure they're good. You're on a lazy boy right now.
I feel good right now.
So let's talk about some of your projects that you had told me on Facebook that you are very excited about.
Yeah.
So you have your learning thing that you're doing now.
Yeah. So the two that I shared with you. So one is environment related and technology related, and it's called Clean Tech Rising. It's an email newsletter that I started with a friend from college over 3 years ago now. And the idea was we wanted to learn about the latest innovations happening in the clean technology space, environmentally friendly technologies, a lot of different kind of areas, within that.
Examples being solar panels and collecting rainwater.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So water, energy, transportation, waste, sustainable materials, the built environment, green building, leads, like
Lead
stuff.
certified.
Um,
There you go.
is this good?
Yeah, you're good. Good recovery.
Thank you. And so we started this newsletter, and the idea was like, we know there are a lot of people out there who care about the environment. They believe in climate change. They want to, know what are the interesting positive things, developments happening to kind of move where we need to go in the direction that we need to go in general. And but they don't want to talk about like kilowatt hours and these things that and including myself, just like we just noticed a lot of the blogs are very technical and not like what we wanted to read. And so we kind of wanted to try to distill these innovations down in a way that was going to be more approachable for sort of like the layman to read about and get excited about, someone that's going to like that type of thing. It was sort of inspired by Tim Urban's Wait But Why. Are you familiar with it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's so brilliant. It's so good. So you're going to enjoy checking this out.
Okay.
It's so good. Some people are probably going to have heard of Tim Urban, but yeah, waitbutwhy.com. It's a blog. This guy just talks about lots of different random topics. He does these really long form blog posts and makes them so engaging, so fascinating.
Where do you get your blogs? Do you go to like their website? Is that their blog, or do you have like
I wish I could remember how I discovered this, but get this. So just to give you an example of like how quality this guy's like stuff is. So he wrote this really long form blog post about artificial intelligence, and Elon Musk read it. He reached out to him and he said, "Hey, I loved your article. I loved your blog post about artificial intelligence. Would you be interested in coming out to California and writing about my different businesses?" And so he came out and wrote this long post about Tesla and the future of electric vehicles and the history. He did it about SpaceX. He did it about his computer brain interface company.
Yeah.
So just it's that type of quality.
Yeah,
Elon's not going to hit some
any
random person up.
For sure.
So anyways, it was a little bit inspired by that. And what I mean by inspired was he uses like a funny and fun tone. It's kind of light. It's kind of fun, but he goes really deep and long form, whereas we're a short form like newsletter. But yeah, so we started publishing every other week. So we each write one per month, and it's 3.5 years in now. You can find the newsletter at cleantechrising.com.
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 Got it.
And we just met up in the Bay Area last weekend. We're still trying to sort it. So we have a job board in addition to at some point along the way, we partnered with a guy who had started a job board for jobs in clean energy. And so it's okay, now we have this kind of newsletter. We're building this audience, and we sort of maybe now have sort of a product as well that we can kind of offer and pair these together. And so we sort of became a newsletter and a job board. And most recently, there's another job board that's being created, which called Climate Careers. You can see it at climate.careers. And they're just doing it really properly. And it's looking like it's going to be make more sense to focus on the newsletter and the content creation and kind of let them do the job work. They're already doing it. They're already setting it up so well.
For sure.
But yeah, we're trying to explore different partnership opportunities and ways to kind of start to monetize the project a little bit.
For sure.
But I really enjoy it. It's a fun project. I work with some really great people on it. We've had we're on our 5th intern from UC Berkeley now, which has been pretty cool experience working with interns and having students be interested in contributing to the project and whatnot. It's a nonprofit. So enjoying that. And then the other project is called peerinterviewing.com. And this is meant to offer online workshops for job seekers to help them get better prepared for job interviews.
Oh, great.
And we do it with coaching guided interactive online workshops where there's a focus on. So there are some workshops that I've taken in the last like couple of years. One was called the Alt MBA and one was called the Bootstrappers Workshop. Alt MBA was like a leadership and management workshop. And Bootstrappers Workshop was like a small business workshop. And they both had this same structure and like framework to the course, which is it's guided by coaches, but it's there's a huge emphasis placed on peer interaction. So if you're on YouTube or you're taking a lot of courses available online right now, you might watch a video, read a lesson. Maybe there's a forum where other students are supposed to put something related or answer some prompt or something. But there's not a lot of interaction with other students. It's like you and like the teacher and the content and you engaging with that and you're learning.
Right.
And that's great. It's a great way to learn.
Uh-huh.
When you add in other peers learning that same either process or topic, it could be totally different topics, totally different projects, right? But everyone's going through the same lessons, but then they're working together. And like sort of a requirement of the course is that once you finish your project, you go and you give feedback to 5 or 10 other of your peers on their projects.
Oh, okay.
And you do it in a way like you learn how to give proper feedback, which is a really important and challenging skill in and of itself.
Yeah.
And then they're doing the same for you. You're reading through the projects of your peers. You're learning from what they're doing. You're seeing, oh, they did that. I could do a version of that for myself. Oh, they did that. This person down here pointed out why they should maybe think about doing that this way instead. I'm going to avoid that over here in my project. So much rich learning happening. And so essentially I decided to take that model and I was trying to figure out what else could I apply this to that seems like it could be useful. And I combined that with the problem that I've also recognized, which is that people still really have a hard time, including myself, with job interviews. And specifically right now, we're offering them to college students. And so those are what I'm working on. Of course, each of those warrants digging in like so much further than that. But one thing I'll recommend, and I'll share this with you, is this same group, Akimbo Workshops, is about to offer something called the Podcast Fellowship. They've done this before, but I'm telling you, like, this would be, in my humble opinion, the investment of a lifetime for someone interested in this type of work.
Okay.
And I'll just stand behind that like so strongly. And yeah, for what it's worth.
The podcast workshop?
The podcast fellowship, man.
I'll fellowship.
Like I want to do it because I know how like incredible these workshops are.
Uh-huh.
And I love podcasts and I would love to have one someday or something that. But if I actually had one, like I wouldn't think twice and I would pay 5 to 10 times more than what it costs. Sure. So yeah.
What does it cost?
I think I actually don't know. It could be between $500 and $700. Like for me, that's like nothing for what you're gonna get
for what it is.
Dude, like, yeah.
Cameron Brown.
Yeah, man. But
you're the man. So what's up with your website?
Yeah, dude. Everyone can check out what I'm up to, both kind of professionally and personally, on my personal blog and website. It's called camerons.space. CAMERONS _space. And yeah, man, I'm super stoked to have gotten to spend this time with you, and very grateful. And
so fun.
I look forward to doing it again sometime.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have you on. You're gonna act like this could happen.
I think it would be fun
for
to
all
get,
kinds of.
I think it would be fun to get like John Truax or Pat Boyles in here with me.
For sure. No, they are more than welcome. Talk to them.
Yeah.
You got to set me up. See, here's the thing: is like. People are like, oh man, it'd be so fun if my friend would do it. It would come and do this with me. It's like, yo, like, you talk to your friend way more than I'm going to talk to your friend. Talk to your friend, then talk to me. Yeah. It's all good. Yeah. Come on.
I love that.
Seriously, everybody, come on. It's not a big deal. Just hit me up. People hit me up. Like, come on. I think that we've done enough of these. This is my 44th episode. And we've done enough of these where everybody gets the gist, dude. I mean, like, people come on, they do beers, they can.
I love that. Yeah, I thought about that too.
Yeah, it can be whatever it's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I have a bong, like,
Love
seriously, whatever anybody needs.
Yeah.
This is about being a host. what I feel and I believe is what I believe.
Yeah.
But you know, this is a community, and in order for this to be a symbiotic relationship, I need to let people live their lives. You
Hear
know,
you.
so
I hear you.
whoever comes on, whatever they need to do in order for them to feel themselves, then they can do it. Cameron, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Yeah, man.
Let's get you back on. Outside of the 2 things you're working on and your website, is there anything else you want anybody to look out for?
That's a good question. Not coming directly to mind. Oh, you
Okay.
know what?
What's up?
I also work with the Surfrider Foundation South Bay chapter here in the South Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you check us out on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, it's pretty easy to find. You know, Surfrider South Bay. We do like beach cleanups and different little social events and like educational, environmental stuff, and it's fun. And we have a cool like group, and I'm actively trying to build our team of volunteers and committees for different programs and stuff like that.
sure.
So if that type of thing is interesting to you, you can also hit me up about that. You know?
For sure. We'll get after it.
Yeah.
Cameron, throw me some
Cheers,
knuckles.
guys.
Yeah. Everybody, ride your fucking bike, okay? Jesus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hell yeah, dude.
That was fucking epic.